Hello, hello, hello. We're back with another episode this week. I promised you, and I'm going to keep my promises this year. I'm going to make the attempt to keep my promises to you this year that we're going to record episodes for the whole season. So let's start. Let's just get right into it. Let's start off the NFL's back. For me, with the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs, I think there was a feeling that the Lions were going to upset the Chiefs, but it's just I don't think people saw how bad Kadarius Toney was going to play. I don't think anybody thought he was going to play it that badly. He dropped a lot of passes. There were a lot of drop passes for the Chiefs, but specifically Kadarius Toney. But definitely not having Travis Kelsey in the lineup and definitely not having Chris Jones in the lineup definitely hurt them a lot, especially with the fake punt on fourth and short in Detroit's own end zone, after the very first drive, out of the first fourth down. After that, they drove right down, and then definitely pick six by Brian Branch is someone who I liked a lot in the draft. I was hoping the Eagles would pick him, but he's obviously in a very good situation in Detroit. And the Lions look like a real team. Like, they look legitimate. It sounds crazy to say because, let's see if I can try to fix my camera a little bit. No, it doesn't look like it. All right. Like, it's crazy to say that because the Lions, for most of my lifetime, have been a complete joke. In my lifetime, they've only made the playoffs three times I can think of, and all of them were in the 2010 decade with Matthew Stafford as the quarterback, and they were pretty solid teams. It's just they should have beaten the Cowboys in that one game, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, this game, Brian Branch pick six definitely was the biggest play of that game off the deflected pass from Kadarius Toney. And yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of controversy with the whole Jawan Taylor like starting literally like a second before the ball snapped. Every offensive, I mean, but supposedly the thing is every offensive lineman tries to like jump ahead and never tries to not get called for false starts, but they were not very consistent, and they waited to the last drive of the game to actually call it. So that's kind of a big deal. So congrats to Detroit. I'm kind of happy I was wrong, but at the same time, it's whatever on this game. Falcons beat the Panthers 24-10. I was not surprised that Atlanta won. I think Atlanta and Carolina is still gonna be at the bottom of the division. Like it's a good win for Atlanta, but honestly, I'm not that impressed with Atlanta's win over them, over the Panthers. They're I mean, both these teams are pretty young. Carolina has a newer quarterback. They have a newer office to try to figure everything out. I believe Miles fumbled again, and Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier are a great running back duo. And Desmond Ritter didn't need to make all the plays, but from the highlights I've seen, he made enough plays to keep them winning the just to keep them winning the game and not making mistakes and turning the ball over. And that's going to have to be what the formula is down there in Atlanta if they're going to succeed. So let's move on to the Ravens and the Texans. I think pretty much everyone knew the Ravens were going to win, but I have Lamar Jackson as my quarterback, and he did not play that well, and that makes me mad. He only had 170 passing yards and a pick. So I was not happy that the Lamar Jackson did not look great in the first game, but doesn't matter. They got the win. J.K. Dobbins towards Achilles, so he's done for the year. I feel bad for J.K. Dobbins because he was a very solid player coming out of college. Like he's still a good running back, and he's still a good like. It just sucks that he has to deal with all these injuries. So it doesn't look he was in a contract year too, so it doesn't look like he's going to get signed again by the Ravens. And as for the Texans, it doesn't look like they did a lot. Let me see if we can click on the game details for this one because I don't think the Texans did a lot. Let's see. They turnover downs, threw a pick, punt, touchdown, punt, field goal, field goal, field goal. All right, it doesn't really say like specifically what. It doesn't give the. Oh, here we go. Stats right here. So let's see what CJ Stroud had. 20 for 44, 242. That's actually not bad at all. But they could not run the football that well. They had Singletary 7 for 15. Damian Pierce for 11 for 38. And what about the receivers? Oh, Nico Collins 6 for 80. He's a solid receiver. I like Nico a lot. But other than that, yeah, they did not do well. The Texans offense did not have a great debut. I mean, it's not that it's not we shouldn't judge them too hard because the Ravens still have a really good defense. That's what they're known for. Ravens are always known for having a great defense. So again, and the Texans are still a young team. They are still trying to figure things out as well. So let's move on to I think what a lot of people were surprised about. The probably most surprising game of the weekend was the Browns just absolutely manhandling the Bengals 24-3. Deshaun Watson looked like he's starting to come back to form. And Miles Garrett's doing Miles Garrett things, always torturing the Bengals offensive line. He did a crossover and just got to Joe Burrow right away. That offensive line still needs a lot of work. He still needs that chemistry. They're off that still sort of like they were last year. So I mean, we shouldn't be. I don't think we should be alarmed for the Bengals yet, but because the AFC North is the toughest division, and I think Cleveland will be a good team. It's just I didn't think they're gonna crush them the way that they did this week. I thought it was gonna be a lot closer, but and obviously Joe Burrow with the big signing of what is I don't have the numbers. It's like 270 with I think it's 275 5 year 275 with like 220 guaranteed, something along those lines. Highest paid quarterback in the NFL of all of the NFL history, highest paid player in NFL history with that contract, and just did not perform well. So and now let's move on to the game that everyone, a lot of people knew that the Jags were going to win. As that's actually a pretty closer game. Supposedly, I didn't get to see the whole game. I didn't see a lot of the highlights, but I saw Calvin Ridley score a touchdown. I feel good for him. I just wish Trevor Lawrence threw the football to Christian Kirk, but it is what it is. I think he only had like one catch because Christian Kirk was the breakout star for the Jaguars for last year. He had like 1,000 yards, but I think Christian Kirk will get his catches. But we'll see what happens for them in the future. But Jaguars actually look really good, and the Colts, while losing by 10, and they look a lot better than I thought they were going to look. But it's like I said, it's only week one. We don't know a lot about these teams. It's still very, very early, so we'll probably find out. We'll probably have a good feel of each of these teams by week 4 or 5. And now Bucks and Vikings. I thought the Vikings were going to win because even though Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator, I thought the defense would be a lot better. But supposedly, according to the Pat McAfee show, from what I watched today, Baker knew all the defensive signals of the Vikings, and he just torched them on every play. So I I'm good for him. Good for the Bucks for winning this game. I mean, obviously they still have a lot of really good players, like Mike Evans, like Chris Godwin. And they both of them were making plays. So good for Baker. Good for the Bucks. They won the game. They also got a pick. Bucks got a pick near the end zone. So it'll be a good. Bucks will be a team to keep their eye out for, and I think they're gonna finish as of right. I mean, as of my prediction video, which is coming. I just had to pay an editor. I just need to get the money and pay my editor for the video. It will. I just want to see what it looks like first, and then hopefully I can put it out this weekend. It should have been out last weekend, like a couple weeks ago before the season started. But it is what it is at this point. Titans and Saints. I thought this was gonna be a close game, but I didn't think it'd be 1 point close. The Titans are a well-coached team, and they had a lot of injuries last year. And from the stats I saw, from the highlights I saw, it just didn't look like that they still don't have enough on offense. Yes, it's the first week, but again, Tannehill, Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins still need to get in the groove of things, I guess. Offensive line looked pretty okay for week one, and the Saints look good. This pretty slow start, but they look good. I still think they're going to win the South easily. I say by at least 2 or 3 games. But Derek Carr looks like the guy. He looks like the guy for them in New Orleans. So I'm happy for Derek Carr. He actually has a solid defense. I think I think Derek Carr is a borderline top 10, definitely top half of the league, top of the half quarterback in this league. So hopefully he actually continues to play well and gets the Saints to where they need to where they want to go. Now this game, the Steelers and the 49ers, this is the game that I was able to watch most of. And not surprising that the 49ers kicked the Steelers' ass. Actually, I'm lying. Actually, I thought this was gonna be a close game because the Steelers looked a lot better in the offseason, the preseason. They got a lot of good acquisitions, a lot of players coming back. T.J. Watt still had a hell of a game with 3 sacks, but it just looked like. But the Steelers offense couldn't do anything. So the offense was stumped. 49ers just came in there, steamrolled. Brock Purdy looks really good so far. So not surprising that they won. It's not surprising that they won. It's just surprising that they won by that much. But yeah, the 49ers will be a team to watch out for. Commanders and Cardinals, I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't get to see a lot of highlights on this. So I don't know really, I can't really speak on the highlights and who was stood out and who didn't. But supposedly Sam Howell led the team to a game-winning touchdown at the end of the game. Actually, let's go to game details, see if I can find anything for game details. But I think from what I've heard today, J.J. Watt apparently was on the show, and he said that the Cardinals defense got like 6 sacks on him, which is surprising to me. So let's see. Joshua Dobbs, 21-30, 132. Connor was 62 rushing yards. Marquise Brown's a 29-yard rush. Interesting. Rondale Moore, 3 for 33. Not Steelers didn't do play that well. Joshua Dobbs had 3 fumbles, lost 2 of them. Interesting. And supposedly, interception. Let's see, Kaiser White. Let's see, field goal. So it looks like the reason why the Commanders won was because of just the Cardinals not playing well enough. But let's see how it sounded. Yeah, so 1 touchdown, 1 pick. St. Howell ran in for a touchdown, threw a touchdown to Brian Robinson. All right, not bad, not bad. All right, so I know the stats don't tell the whole story, but that from what I've gathered, it just looks like Arizona didn't do enough. So it's whatever. I will watch the highlights eventually of that game. Before I have to watch them before tomorrow. I want to see like what happened. Packers and Bears. I thought the Bears were going to win this game, but clearly I was wrong. And I was wrong about Jordan Love. As of right now, Jordan Love looks like a guy. He looks like a dude. And good for Jordan Love. Good for the Packers. He threw, 2 touchdowns to Dobbs, and I believe another one to... he threw 3 touchdowns. I saw the highlights. 2 to Dobbs, 1 to Aaron Jones. What a crazy wheel route on the former Eagle T.J. Edwards. He just went inside, threw it to him, and he just dipped. That's simple, which was crazy. So good for him. Good for Jordan Love. Justin Fields obviously still needs some work, but it's week 1. I think the Bears can turn it around. They should be better than they were last year. They look better than they were last year, but I think they'll go up. They'll continue to go up. Broncos and Raiders. I was surprised that the Raiders won this game. Very close to the end. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson looked like a pretty good combination, but obviously not enough to win the game. Raiders, let's see. Jimmy G looked pretty good. Obviously, he threw that touchdown to Jacoby Myers to win the game. But, yeah, so far, the Raiders are the only team in the division to have a win, which is crazy because I don't really have much to say on this game other than we'll have to wait. Obviously, have to wait and see. And Chargers and Dolphins, where Tua went absolutely berserk in this game. And I love that for Tua. He needs to have I think he will be in the MVP conversation this year if he stays healthy. The offensive line did a really good job. Chargers couldn't really pressure them, so that's really on their head coach, who is the defensive coordinator. Brian, I forget his name. It's like Brian Staley, Coach Staley. Is it Brian Staley? I don't remember his name, but anyway, the Chargers defense did not do a good job, and the offense didn't do enough. And Herbert on that last drive got sacked. And it's clear that the Dolphins are benefiting from Vic Fangio. And once again, Tyreek Hill is just a whole nother animal. Tyreek Hill he is that dude. He's a dog. I love Tyreek Hill. That's a great pickup for Miami. So the Dolphins are going to look like a really dangerous team this year. I mean, obviously 1 week, somewhat of an overreaction, but again, we'll find out more in the future. My Birds against the Patriots. I had a feeling we were going to win. I knew it was going to be a close game. I thought we were going to win by a little more, but the defense were the stars of this game. Big play Slay with the pick six. Jordan Davis the forced fumble. Jalen Carter looks like a dude already. He looks like he's going to be the defensive rookie of the year. He's manhandling dudes on the inside. He got his first sack. He got half a sack, I believe, with Jordan Davis as well. Or am I thinking of somebody else who got the half a sack with Jordan Davis? I don't remember, but the offense looked slow, and that was my one concern. I was concerned with the coordinators. I was concerned with Brian Johnson calling plays. It's not they weren't horrible. They were good in the first quarter, and it's just after that first quarter or into the second quarter, New England turned it around, and Bill Belichick does what Bill Belichick does, and confused the offense somewhat. And we almost lost the game because Hurts fumbled at the end, giving it back to New England. But we got lucky that Job uh, basically forced him out of bounds, forced the receiver out of bounds. He had one foot in, but the other foot went out of bounds. So luckily for us, that happened, and we won the game because of it. So it was a rough start, but we're gonna get better throughout the year. I'm not. We definitely will get better throughout the year. Actually, no, this should be the surprise of the weekend. The Rams being the Seahawks. The offensive line, from the highlights I've seen, the offensive line for the Rams did really well. Matt Stafford connected well with the young guys. Cam Akers had a touchdown, and there are a lot of no-name receivers making plays. So I have to do more study on their receivers, on who they are. Seahawks bit the shit. I don't know what happened with the Seahawks. They didn't look like they came to play. They were not ready. Gino didn't look like he was ready to play. Give credit to the Rams defense, the no-name defense other than Aaron Donald. They came up big. They stopped Seattle in their tracks. They stopped the run game. They didn't let them get a lot of passing yards. So good for the Rams. But we'll see what happens with them in the future. Both these teams, I expect them to both go up. Cowboys and Giants, I thought the Giants were going to upset them, but hell no, I was completely wrong. I was right on Daniel Jones basically being a fucking bust. Cowboys defense came into play. They were ready to fuck shit up. They just went in there, whipped their dicks out, and fucked the Giants raw. No condom, no lube, no fucking nothing, dude. It was an embarrassment of a game. Saquon had that catch, but the player tackled him. It went up the air. The ball went in the air, and someone picked it off. Their defense was just manhandling. The Cowboys defense manhandled the Giants offense, and the Cowboys offense barely did anything. They didn't have to do a lot of things, but from the little they did, Dak looked okay. Fucking Brandon Cooks looked. Brandon Cooks is going to be a problem for them, and Tony Pollard looks like he's mostly back from the injury. And I believe Stephon Gilmore got an interception. He got his first pick already in the first game as a Cowboy, which is not good for the NFC East. So I'm not looking forward to getting these Cowboys getting to play these Cowboys in the future. But again, it's one game. It's the Giants. The Giants are frauds. I knew they were frauds from the very beginning. We'll see how they. I believe they play Arizona next week, which is going to be a really, really interesting game. In the fact that Jonathan Gann knows the Giants, he could probably stop them, and it all depends on the Cardinals' offense playing well. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. And obviously, arguably the biggest game of the week one was the Jets and the Bills. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers debuts a New York Jet. It did not last long. He got sacked by Leonard Floyd, and he came up. He knew he was hurt, and he laid back down. And all of our worst fears were confirmed. It was a torn Achilles, which really sucks. Like, the Jets can't have anything nice. They just can't. Like, every time, it seems that majority of my lifetime, whenever the Jets have done well, they will follow up the next year with a terrible injury to the quarterback. For example, 98, they went to the AFC Championship game. They played the Denver Broncos. The next year, they were favored to go to the Super Bowl, but Vinny Testaverde, he hurt himself, and that just went downhill from there. Mark Sanchez, he led the team back-to-back AFC title games in 2009, 2010. And I believe, was it that next year he got hurt? Or sometime in their tenure, once again, Sanchez got hurt, and it just fumbled their season, fucked their season up. So the Jets, man, I mean, they did what they had to do. They won the game. Zach Wilson came in. He looked pretty slow at first, but he came back around. He made a few plays. He didn't. He have to turn the ball over once. He didn't do it again. Threw the ball away. He made some good decisions. So they're probably going to have to lean on Zach Wilson for the rest of the year. I don't see them bringing anybody else. I don't know who they bring in. And as for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, I don't know what's going on with Josh Allen. Like, he peaked in 2020, but now he's just going down, like, slowly. 2021 he went down a little bit, like slowly went down. 2022 again, down a little bit, not as bad. He was in the MVP conversation still. He was like fourth place, I think. But as of right now, dude, 3 interceptions by one guy on the Jets defense. I can't remember what his name is, but off the top of my head, but I should be thanking him because he got me a lot of fantasy points. Even though I lost the game, the Jets defense did very well. So Josh Allen needs to not focus on making the big play all the time. He just needs to do the basic checkdowns, and he's very strong, very athletic. He still tries to run the ball, but the Bills lost because of Josh Allen making mistakes. If he didn't make all those mistakes, I think the Bills would have won, beating the Jets handily. But we're going to see what happens next week. And let's go right to next week. Tomorrow, my Birds against the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, like I said, we played decently against the New England Patriots. We could have played better, but we did. But we got a win. The Vikings, who I thought were going to beat the Bucks because I didn't think the Bucks would be good, but the Bucks won. So yeah, I'm going with my Birds. Like, no matter what, I'm going with my Birds. I believe that they're losing their center for the game. Center Bradbury, he's a top center in the league. He's like one of the top 5 guys in the league. But yeah, he's not going to play well. I think Jalen Carter's going to have himself a day. I believe Derek Shaw's on the injury list as well. So if he's out, the defensive line is just going to dominate against the Vikings. And yes, they have Justin Jefferson, but last time we played him last year, Slay shut him down. He only had 2 catches or something. So I expect the Eagles to win this game. I would say pretty handily, without a doubt. Like, I'm not going to say we're going to crush them. I'm not going to say 38-7 like the NFC Championship, but I'm going to say we're going to win handily. I would say kind of like last night, 24-7, 24-10, something along those lines. And now the rest of the game, September 17th, Packers are at Atlanta. The Packers look really good, even though it was against the Bears, and the Bears are not that great of a team. Falcons looked pretty good against the Panthers, but again, it's just the Panthers. I don't expect a lot from them this year. So I think two pretty even teams who aren't expected to do a lot this year. Let's see. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna pick the Packers barely because I feel like I can trust Jordan Love a little more than I do Desmond Ridder at this point because of his performance. And I really like the Packers defense a lot. They did a lot to that Bears offense. Even though the Bears offense was supposed to be a little better, but I like the Packers defense to win the game for Green Bay. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to Buffalo. This is actually an interesting game. Yes, Josh Allen had his struggles, and the Raiders don't do well on the East Coast. I don't remember the last time. I think the last time they won on the East Coast was 2020. It was against the Jets. It was. They played the Jets but they had to take them to overtime, and that's how they won. And the rest of the time they lost. They just don't win on the East Coast for some reason. They just don't like going to the East Coast. They don't like winning there. So I am going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I think Josh Allen redeems himself. He plays a solid game. I think he gets his head out of his ass. He sees the film saying, oh, you can't turn the ball over. You can't make this throw here or there and all that other shenanigans. And I think it will be a close game. Don't get into it. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think the Raiders are going to keep it close, keep it interesting, but the Bills will still win at the end. Bengals at Ravens. Now this is going to be this is an interesting AFC North matchup, as it always is. The AFC North is always an interesting. It's always a hard hitting matchup between the AFC North rivals, no matter who it is. Even when the Browns are not that great, they still always play tough against the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers. But Ravens and Bengals for these past few years have been great matchups, especially since the Bengals have gotten better. Um, Ravens defense played well against it was the Texans. Bengals offensive line didn't play that well against the Browns. This really could be a coin flip of a game. Two quarterbacks who got paid in the offseason. I really want to see the Ravens offense do better, like receiver wise. I want them to see them do better. I think the Bengals can do better, but I think this game's gonna go overtime. I'm going with the Bengals slightly, like a 3-point win, field goal at the end of the game for the Bengals to win. That's what I'm going with. And now Seahawks are at the Detroit Lions. Last year, these two teams played each other. It was a high scoring game. Jared Goff made them threw a pick six, which basically sealed the game for the Seahawks, I believe. I don't think it sealed the game, but it definitely helped the Seahawks out a lot. They struggled against the Rams this week, and the Lions held their own against the Chiefs, and obviously they won. I'm not gonna say it's an. I'm not gonna be like Mike Tirico. I'm not gonna say it's an asterisk win because a win is a win no matter what. And Detroit Lions showed that they're real, and I think they could do it again this week against the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Detroit Lions are going to go 2-0. I think they're going to win this game. I'm going to say by a touchdown. Something along the lines of like 38-31 Detroit. Texas and Colts, two 0-1 teams, two teams that are rebuilding, two teams that are still trying to find their identity. Richardson and the Colts look pretty decent against the Jags. Texans obviously didn't look great against the Ravens. But like I said, I think the Colts played a better game, and I think because of that, I'm going to go with the Colts slightly in this game. Close game, so I'm going to say 24-20 Indianapolis Colts. And now here's a fun game. The Chiefs are going to Jacksonville. I don't know the injury status of Travis Kelce. I think he's going to play. I'm not sure yet. I would have to take. Actually, let's not guess and actually do research. So Travis updates. Yeah, we're doing it live. I don't give a shit. Let's see. Feared worst. Potential return. Unrecognizable. Time for return. I feel like I suffered injury. Season-ending injury. That would not be good. They missed on Travis Kelce. Instead, really deep bone bruise. Okay. It looked good. So as we speak, he's facility working on the muscles around it, testing and passing as well. So I'm going to try to run him. I don't know. I would like to play the video, but I don't know if I want to get in trouble for that. So it looks like the stats is still up in the air as of right now. We don't know yet. So Chris Jones coming back and stuff are going to help the Chiefs out. But I really don't think the Chiefs are going to go 0-2. I like the Jags. I think they're going to win the AFC South handily, but I just don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs right now, especially with Chris Jones coming back. And even if Travis Kelce's not 100%, I think he is still enough of a playmaker to make a couple of plays and help them win the game. I think the Chiefs are going to win because Jags played the Chiefs last year. They were both relatively close games. First game was the Chiefs won by 10. Second game they only won by 3, I believe. Or 7. I don't remember. I think it was 27-24 or 27-20. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I'm going to say the Chiefs win again, but I'm going to say they win by 3. Say like 27-24 Kansas City Chiefs. Bears were at the Buccaneers. They looked good against Minnesota. Bears did not look as well. This is again another toss-up of a game. But as of right now, I'm going to say the Bucs because they looked really good against Even though Minnesota's defense was they collapsed at the end of the year, I think the Bucks are going to win this game again. Well, not again, but I think they're going to beat the Bears this week. I think they're going to win pretty handily. And I mean, I think it'll be close, but like the Bears, I just don't know how good. I don't know how if they're going to be good enough to even keep up with the Bucks at this point. Who knows? They just need a lot. The Bucks need not the Bucks. The Bears need a lot of help. Titans and Chargers. Hmm. Chargers can score points. The Titans can stop them. Hmm. I'm gonna say the Chargers win in Tennessee. I think the Chargers get back on track, even though the Chargers will probably give up points because that's what they do. Their defense is not that great, but I don't think the Titans have enough firepower unless Derrick Henry runs for 300 yards and scores 5 touchdowns. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers on the road of this game. Giants at Cardinals. This is low. I think low key. This will be the most interesting match of the week. And here's why I say that. I say that because the Cardinals only lost by 4, and if they didn't have those turnovers, I think they would have beaten the Commanders. And the Giants got their ass whooped. So if the Giants need this game to come back and just bounce back and get their season back on track, because otherwise they have a rough start. I think they play San Francisco soon. I think they play. I don't remember who else they play, but they have a pretty brutal schedule coming up. Like in the next month, I would say they have a pretty rough schedule. So if the Giants don't win now, I see them going to the bottom of the division. And if Arizona wins, this will be a shock because it doesn't look like they're. Because even though me as a fan, I believe that they're trying to tank for Caleb Williams, and a lot of people are saying that they're trying to tank. Even though people say oh, teams don't really tank in the NFL. True. I would say true that they don't tank. Like the players don't try to tank, but I feel like management, like upper management, owners, GMs, I feel like they kind of try to tank as well, and they have more power than the head coach. And the coaches definitely don't try to tank because they want to keep their fucking jobs. So I'm gonna go with the upset here. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals over the Giants just because I'm feeling ballsy. Like that's the only reason I got. I'm feeling ballsy, and I think the Cardinals are gonna beat the Giants this week. I don't know why. I just think so. But I think the Giants will bounce back. I think they'll play better than they did against the Cowboys. 49ers are at the Rams. Whenever these two teams go at it, it's always a great matchup. Even though the 49ers have won the majority of these matchups in the regular season, these two teams always, for the most part, always put up a good show. Last year they really didn't do it. 2020 was a good show. Were both good games. 2021 they were both good games, and the third game in the NFC title game, the Rams won. The Rams won when it mattered, going to the Super Bowl, obviously. I'm gonna say I don't think the Rams are. I don't trust in the Rams enough. I need to see more from LA, so I'm definitely going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. But we'll see how. I might be a close game, might not be. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. The New York Jets and Dallas Cowboys. I really want to see the Jets to beat the Cowboys. I really wanted to say that, but if they had Aaron Rodgers, I would definitely be saying that without a doubt. Because Aaron Rodgers owns the Dallas Cowboys, but Zach Wilson in there, he's probably going to be confused by all the whole Cowboys defense. I want to say the Jets defense will keep this game close. They're not going to let them win 40-0. That's not going to happen this week again. Wow, it pains me to say this, but I think the Cowboys are just barely going to win. It's going to be like 24-21 or something like that. Pretty close. It's going to be a really close game. Oh god, I felt dirty for saying the Cowboys winning. Ugh, Jesus Christ. God, I just feel like the devil just went inside me. No homo. Oh my lord. Anyway, so back to this. Back to the rest of the games. Commanders and Broncos. Again, this is another toss-up game. I don't know who's going to win because the Commanders will play the Cardinals, who we all know, for the most part, we know are not a good team as of right now. The Denver Broncos, they look much improved, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The offensive line is still kind of shaky, and I trust the Commanders' defensive line. But I really don't think Russell Wilson is going to be playing that bad again this year. I don't think he played bad in the first game. They just didn't do enough to beat the Raiders. So, but for this game, I'm going with the Denver Broncos. I just don't see them losing two in a row. I see Sean Payton getting his first win as a head coach as for the Denver Broncos. And ooh, this is a good Sunday night game. I believe the Patriots are going to be wearing those Patriot red jerseys, those Patriot football red jerseys. I love those jerseys. That's one of my favorite throwbacks. But anyway, Dolphins at Patriots. Bill Belichick always will provide a great defensive scheme. Mike McDaniel went 1-1 against them last year, and I think the Dolphins, even though the Patriots always do put up a good defensive scheme against the Dolphins, I do think the Dolphins will win this game once again. It's gonna be something along the lines of like 20-10. I just don't. I mean, yes, I don't see the Patriots offense doing enough, even with Bill O'Brien. And they looked like they played really well against my Eagles. Well enough to keep them in the game. But anyway, Dolphins win, and look at this, 2 Monday night games. All right, I did not know this week we'll have 2 Monday night games. That's great. That's awesome. One's gonna be on ESPN, one's gonna be on ABC. All right, so I'll be flipping back and forth between these two matchups. Saints are at the Panthers. Honestly, I don't think the Panthers did a really good job against the Falcons. Young team, still on the startup. They're still on like the come up. And I don't expect, like I said, I don't expect them doing a lot this year. And I think they're going to struggle again this week against the Saints because of the defense, because of Derek Carr making enough plays to win them the game. So I think the Saints are going to win pretty handily. But now this game, this is probably the best game of the weekend. Browns and Steelers. Deshaun Watson looked good. Kenny Pickett did not. But I can't see the Steelers not playing well again. Even though the Browns shut down the Bengals, I feel like the Cleveland Browns are going to do. It's going to be a close game no matter what. But, God, do I really want to pick the Browns over the Steelers? I don't know if I do yet. Dang. I mean, yeah, Steelers didn't look good. The Browns looked good, and they played well enough. It's all I know is it's going to be a hard-hitting game. Both these teams are going to fucking punch each other in the mouth. But, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with the momentum. Fuck it. I'm going with the momentum. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to play. I don't think they're going to crush them. I don't think it's going to be 24-3. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think it's going to be like a 20-17 type game, and Cleveland's going to win. And that's it for the recap and prediction episode. So, hopefully I'm right all the way across the board, and hopefully I remain perfect. I'm not even close to being perfect, but you know what but that's just me guessing. So I will see you all next week. Go Birds.